Opportunity is about timing. And the Giants have the opportunity to put its organization back on a positive trajectory with a third overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. Sitting at number 3, the Giants are going to have the option to draft either Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, or a quarterback. There's a saying, you're only as good as your starting quarterback. And it's very true. Take a look around the NFL. It's very true. And it's understandable for the Giants to have a pressing need to draft a quarterback this year. You can feel that pressure from within the organization, from fans, from the media, to draft a quarterback. Because inevitably the Giants do have to fill that void at some point. You do need to get a young guy in the building that you can develop and be your franchise guy. However, the reality is, the Giants already made their decision on quarterback this year, bringing in Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. Now, assuming Russell Wilson will be your starter and Jameis Winston your backup, they don't need to do that right now. And Russell Wilson is a viable option short-term for the Giants, but he is starting to get up there in age. And so, inevitably, you will have to bring that young guy in the building. And it'll be great for him to work with somebody like Russell Wilson, who has a plethora of experience playing in multiple Super Bowls. He has great leadership ability. There's few guys out there that I'd rather a young quarterback get paired with than somebody as seasoned and experienced as Russell Wilson. He would give them great guidance. If you're the Giants, I would not rush this decision of drafting a quarterback. The timing, it doesn't really feel right in 2025. And drafting a quarterback is a decision that you've got to do your homework on. You've got to do your due diligence, and you have to be incredibly intentional about the guy you bring in and what you're going to surround him with. Leadership, players, what are you going to surround him with? It's essentially going to be the guiding coalition of your team. So you've got to be incredibly intentional and buttoned up about the quarterback that you bring in. When I look at this year's quarterback class for the 2025 NFL Draft, I think there's a lot of guys who have considerable upside, guys who could really translate, like Shedeur Sanders, like Jackson Dart, like Jalen Milroe. But I don't see a lot of sure things. And when you have the number 3 overall pick, I want to be pretty confident that the guy I'm going to bring into the building at quarterback, he's going to translate. He's ready. I have very little doubt in my mind. I don't have that feeling when I look at Shedeur Sanders or Jackson Dart or Jalen Milroe. I see a lot of potential there, but I don't want potential. I don't want possible upside. I want, you can plug this guy in and he's going to be a baller. And the team is sculpted, crafted for him to succeed the minute he starts. I don't think the Giants have either of those things right now. I think the Giants have a receiving core and an offense that's workable with somebody with as much experience as Russell Wilson, but it's not exactly a situation that I want to plug a young quarterback who I'm not certain about into. If you're the Giants, wait a year to draft a quarterback, because it's being forecasted that the quarterbacks in the class of 2026 will be better than 2025. That class will be a lot deeper for quarterbacks, and there'll be more options than there are in 2025. And so I would wait. You got to be patient if you're the Giants in the situation. You know the song by Phil Collins, the 80s classic, You Can't Hurry Love. It applies to this very situation. It's also important to note the ramifications if you don't draft the right quarterback. It sets your organization back years. You have to go back to square one, and that can be strenuous, exhausting for an organization. Because think about it. All of the time, all of the money, all of the resources that you invested into that quarterback, it was all for nothing. It was all a waste. And that's demoralizing. It's like if you're a company and you hire somebody and they don't pan out or they dart for the next job after 4 months. All that time you spent on training, all that money you spent on training, all the resources you provide for them. It was all a waste. The Giants are a business. This is the same situation here. So, when you have the number 3 overall pick, it doesn't hurt to be a little particular about who you take, especially if it's a quarterback. You want to make sure that this guy is going to be a sure thing. And in this draft class, when I assess the quarterbacks in it, I see only one guy that I feel is a sure thing, and that's Cam Ward. And it seems like a certainty at this point that Tennessee will be drafting him at number 1 overall. So even though the Giants have a high pick at number 3, he'll be off the board already. And so then you're left with Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, Dylan Gabriel, who I think have upsides, but you want somebody who's going to be a sure thing. And Cam Ward will be off the board at that point. The Giants rushed this decision back in 2019 when they not only reached, but made what I think may be the biggest reach of my entire life of watching the draft, and taking Daniel Jones, number 6 overall. And you can see the impact. It set the organization back years. They kept him too long. They prolonged the tenure. And now the Giants are essentially back at square one. They need that franchise guy. And it hurts all those years, that time, that money invested into a guy. And it doesn't pan out. So if you're the Giants, don't rush this decision. Don't make the same mistake twice. Be intentional and be patient about drafting a quarterback. This year, in 2025, I think there's 2 players in this draft that are generational and who will have an immediate impact if you insert them on any roster. And that's Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. These guys are freaks. And if you have the opportunity to draft one of them, do not pass it up. Abdul Carter, the edge rusher from Penn State. He had 12 sacks last season with the Nittany Lions on their run that went deep into the college football playoff. He's a dog. His first step is insane. One of the twitchiest, one of the most explosive edge rushers that we've seen in the draft these past several years. Do not pass up on this guy. I don't really care about the stress fracture in the foot anymore. It was confirmed the other day that Abdul Carter will not need that foot to be operated on, so he will be ready to start in week 1. And I know there's concern about a foot injury with a position like an edge rusher because you need that burst. Could it slow you down? I understand the concern. But I think that especially since Abdul Carter has been cleared for this year, he's not going to need to be operated on. That's a huge plus. And if I'm the Giants now especially, I do not pass up on the opportunity to bring him into the building. He will have an immediate impact and will be hitting opposing quarterbacks from day one. The guy's a monster. And of course, you got Travis Hunter, the hybrid. The guy who plays both ways, wide receiver and corner. This guy is a freak generational prospect. And he's incredibly effective on both sides of the ball. Look at his stats from this year with Colorado. On the offensive side of the ball, 15 receiving touchdowns. On the defensive side of the ball, 4 interceptions. Those numbers are unheard of. They're an anomaly. The guy's a maniac. There's few guys out there that are designed and wired like Travis Hunter. And he doesn't care. His work ethic is through the roof. He chooses to play all those snaps. And I get that concern as well. Does he have injury risk because of the amount of snaps he's played? That is understandable. If I'm the Giants, I don't care about that risk because how many guys do you see come along like Travis Hunter? Not many. So that's the paradox if you're the Giants. Are there any quarterbacks out there that are worth drafting over generational prospects like Abdul Carter, like Travis Hunter? I don't think so. You've got the number 3 overall pick. Make it count. And you do have to bring a franchise guy into the building at some point. Make that count. Don't rush this decision again. Giants fans, let me know what y'all think about this take in the comment section below. Have a great day.